As we grow older, life teaches us lessons that no book can ever capture. In our younger years, we spend so much time worrying about others, what they think, what they say, and how they treat us. But as the years pass, we begin to see the truth. Peace comes when we stop chasing noise and start valuing silence. In this stage of life, it's no longer about proving anything to the world. It's about protecting your peace, your mind, and your health. As we reach the later stages of life, one of the greatest realizations we come to is that peace matters far more than proving ourselves to anyone. When we are young, there is an unspoken pressure to constantly justify our choices, defend our worth, and earn validation from others. We often stretch ourselves thin trying to make people see our value, hoping for acknowledgement or appreciation. But with time, experience teaches us that not everyone will understand us. And that's perfectly fine. The endless cycle of explanation and justification only drains our spirit, leaving us restless and unsatisfied. True maturity begins when we stop fighting to be seen and start finding comfort in our own quiet confidence. In old age, peace becomes the most valuable treasure. The desire to prove something fades away because we finally understand that peace cannot coexist with the constant need for approval. Every argument, every attempt to correct others' opinions steals a piece of our calm. Instead of defending our truth, we learn to live it. Life feels lighter when we stop explaining ourselves to people who are determined to misunderstand us. We realize that no amount of convincing will change someone's perception if their heart is not open. Choosing peace means accepting that silence is sometimes the strongest statement we can make. Moreover, focusing on peace over proving gives us emotional freedom. When we are no longer tied to the opinions of others, our hearts find rest. We start to notice the small joys we once ignored, the warmth of the morning sun, the softness of a kind word, the beauty in quiet solitude. We learn to respond rather than react, and that shift brings serenity. Peace allows us to listen more deeply, to reflect more sincerely, and to live more gently. The need to prove ourselves to others is replaced with a desire to stay aligned with our inner truth. And that alignment brings a rare sense of calmness that no validation can offer. Lastly, the stage of focusing on peace helps us redefine what success means. Success no longer looks like winning arguments, gaining recognition, or being admired by many. Instead, success feels like sleeping with a quiet mind and waking with a grateful heart. It is measured by how light we feel, how deeply we love, and how calmly we can walk away from chaos. When we choose peace over proving, we allow ourselves to rise above the noise of the world and dwell in a space where our spirit is finally free to rest. Silence is one of the most powerful tools a person can embrace, especially in the later years of life. As we grow older, we begin to understand that not every situation deserves a reaction, and not every word needs to be spoken. In our younger years, we may have felt the urge to respond to every criticism, defend our character, and correct every misunderstanding. But silence teaches us restraint, the kind that protects our energy and preserves our dignity. When we choose silence over argument, we are not surrendering, we are choosing wisdom. Silence gives us the ability to rise above negativity without letting it consume us, allowing us to maintain our calm while others lose theirs. In silence, we discover our true power. Words can easily be twisted, but silence speaks clearly in its own way. It shows strength, maturity, and self-control. A person who can remain quiet in the face of chaos has mastered themselves. Silence allows space for reflection. It helps us think before reacting, and in that pause, we often find the answers we've been searching for. Many conflicts in life could be avoided if we simply learn to pause and stay silent rather than reacting impulsively. In this stage of life, silence becomes our shield. It protects our mind from unnecessary disturbance and gives us time to heal from emotional noise. Furthermore, silence nurtures inner peace. It removes us from the constant rush of voices, opinions, and judgments that cloud our thoughts. When we step back from endless conversations and arguments, we give our hearts room to breathe. In silence, we can listen, not to others, but to ourselves. We begin to hear the voice of our intuition, which we may have ignored for years. This quiet inner dialogue helps us reconnect with who we truly are, beyond the roles we've played for others. Silence is not emptiness, it is fullness, full of awareness, peace, and understanding. Most importantly, silence becomes the sanctuary in a world that never stops talking. It allows us to protect our emotions, conserve our strength, and choose our words wisely. The older we get, the more we realize that not everything needs to be said, and not every thought needs to be shared. There is deep dignity in restraint. Silence allows us to carry ourselves with grace and respond to life with patience. It transforms us from being reactive to being reflective, turning every quiet moment into an opportunity for peace and self-discovery. As we enter the later years of life, the importance of self-care becomes clearer than ever before. For decades, many of us have lived our lives giving to others, raising families, supporting friends, managing responsibilities, and ensuring that everyone around us is cared for. But somewhere in that process, we often forget to care for ourselves. We neglect our health, silence our emotions, and push our needs aside for the sake of others. However, there comes a time when we must realize that self-care is not selfish. It is essential. In this phase of life, your body, mind, and soul deserve your attention more than anyone else's. You cannot pour from an empty cup. And after years of giving, it's finally time to refill your own. Self-care begins with acknowledging that your well-being matters. It means listening to your body when it needs rest, and to your heart when it feels tired. Taking care of yourself doesn't always mean grand acts. Sometimes it's as simple as enjoying a quiet walk, savoring your morning tea, or allowing yourself to do nothing without guilt. It's about giving yourself permission to slow down, to breathe deeply, and to enjoy the simple beauty of the present moment. In old age, the rush of life should be replaced with a rhythm of calmness. This gentle pace allows you to nurture your spirit, protect your peace, and live each day with gratitude rather than obligation. True self-care also means setting boundaries. It's about learning to say no to things that drain your energy or disturb your peace. In younger years, we may have felt compelled to please others or meet everyone's expectations. But in this stage of life, it's time to prioritize your comfort over others' opinions. It's perfectly okay to walk away from people or situations that bring stress. Choosing your peace does not mean you love others less. It simply means you have learned to love yourself enough to protect your happiness. Boundaries are a form of self-respect, and maintaining them helps you live a more balanced, fulfilling life. Additionally, self-care extends to nurturing the mind and soul. This can be through reading, meditation, prayer, or spending time in nature. Anything that helps you reconnect with your inner self. Mental and emotional care are just as important as physical health. Reflect on your journey with kindness. Forgive yourself for past mistakes and celebrate the wisdom you have earned through years of experience. Every wrinkle, every scar, and every lesson tells a story of survival and strength. Self-care in old age is about honoring that story, appreciating the person you've become, and continuing to care for yourself as lovingly as you once cared for others. Emotional detachment is one of the most liberating practices a person can embrace in the later stages of life. It doesn't mean you stop caring about people. It means you stop allowing their actions and words to control your emotions. In our younger years, we often become deeply entangled in the behaviors, opinions, and expectations of others. We react quickly when someone hurts us. We take things personally, and we let unnecessary drama disturb our peace. But with age comes wisdom, the wisdom to realize that not everything deserves a reaction. Emotional detachment allows you to rise above the chaos, to observe rather than absorb, and to protect your heart from pain that isn't yours to carry. This kind of detachment is not coldness, it is strength. It is the ability to stay calm even when others try to provoke you. When you learn to detach emotionally, you begin to see people and situations for what they truly are, not what you wish them to be. You stop expecting apologies from those who are never willing to give them, and you stop seeking understanding from those who refuse to listen. Instead of trying to fix everything, you learn to let go. This letting go is where your peace begins, because no one can disturb your serenity when you've learned to master your emotions. Life becomes lighter when you realize that your reactions are your power. And when you choose calm over conflict, you win without ever fighting. Emotional detachment also teaches you the beauty of stillness. When you stop getting involved in unnecessary emotional battles, your mind becomes quieter. You begin to notice how much energy is wasted worrying about things you cannot change. The heart feels lighter when it is not burdened by resentment, and the mind becomes clearer when it is not clouded by overthinking. Detachment helps you see that not everyone you lose is a loss, and not every silence is an absence. Sometimes walking away without anger is the most peaceful decision you can make. It allows you to preserve your inner harmony while still caring from a distance. Furthermore, emotional detachment brings clarity to relationships. It helps you understand who genuinely values you and who only stays for convenience. When you no longer react to every slight or criticism, you begin to see people's true intentions. You realize that your happiness cannot depend on anyone else's behavior, it must come from within. This realization frees you from emotional dependency and gives you control over your own peace. In this stage of life, detachment is not isolation, it's self-preservation. It is about choosing to be at peace rather than constantly being at war with your emotions. It's about finding strength in stillness and comfort in letting go. There is a profound kind of wisdom that only silence can teach. As we grow older, we begin to realize that not every thought deserves to be spoken, and not every situation requires our opinion. In our younger years, we may have believed that talking more meant knowing more, that expressing ourselves constantly was a sign of strength. But in truth, it is in quietness that wisdom deepens. The ability to stay silent when provoked, to listen when others speak, and to choose calm over chaos reflects emotional maturity. Quietness allows us to see beyond words. It helps us read intentions, feel energies, and understand life at a much deeper level. It teaches us that wisdom is not always loud. Sometimes it's found in the stillness of a peaceful mind. When we practice quietness, we open ourselves to understanding rather than reacting. Words often close doors, but silence keeps them open. It allows others to reveal their true selves while we simply observe. There is strength in being still and listening without judgment. Many conflicts, both big and small, can be avoided when we choose patience over impulse. Quietness doesn't mean submission, it is self-control in its purest form. It is the choice to protect our energy from unnecessary confrontation and to maintain our dignity through calm presence. A wise person doesn't speak to be heard, they speak only when their words can bring value. And sometimes the most valuable response is no response at all. Quietness also allows us to reconnect with our inner voice. When the noise of the world fades away, our intuition grows stronger. In silence, we find the answers that constant talking often drowns out. It is in these moments of solitude that we gain perspective, understanding what truly matters and what doesn't. Life slows down in a beautiful way when we stop rushing to respond, explain, or argue. We start appreciating the power of observation, watching how people act rather than listening to what they say. This form of awareness brings clarity and insight that only stillness can offer. It teaches us that silence is not emptiness. It is full of reflection, patience, and grace. Moreover, quietness gives our words greater meaning when we finally choose to speak. A person who is usually calm and silent carries more weight when they express something. Their words come from thought, not impulse. This makes others listen with respect. Quietness refines our speech, making it purposeful rather than reactive. It also brings peace to our surroundings. When we are calm, we influence others to be the same. In this way, wisdom in quietness not only protects us from unnecessary pain, but also becomes a gentle guide for others. It turns silence into strength and transforms peaceful presence into a silent form of power that only the wise can truly understand. Inner reflection is one of the most meaningful practices we can embrace as we grow older. It is a process of looking inward, examining our life, and finding understanding within ourselves. When we are young, our focus is often directed outward. We are busy chasing goals, meeting expectations, and proving ourselves to the world. But in old age, the real journey begins within. Reflection allows us to pause and truly see the path we've walked, the moments of joy, the mistakes we've made, the lessons we've learned, and the strength we've gained. It is not about regret, but about recognition. Recognizing that everything that happened in our life, good or bad, has shaped us into who we are today. Through reflection, we learn to honor our past without being held captive by it. In the quiet moments of reflection, we find healing. The act of looking inward helps us release the emotional burdens we have carried for years. Old wounds, unspoken words, and unresolved pain begin to lose their power when we face them with honesty and compassion. Inner reflection teaches forgiveness, not only for others but also for ourselves. It reminds us that we did the best we could with what we knew at the time. This gentle acceptance is what brings true peace. When we stop judging ourselves for what we could have done differently, we open the door to self-love. Every scar, every tear, and every challenge becomes part of a story that deserves to be respected, not hidden. Reflection also deepens our gratitude. When we take the time to look back, we begin to appreciate how far we've come. We see the moments of strength we didn't recognize when we were in the middle of the storm. We realize that we survived things we once thought would break us. This awareness transforms our mindset. Instead of focusing on what we lost, we start valuing what we gained. Inner reflection helps us recognize the quiet blessings that were always there. The people who stood by us, the wisdom we earned, and the courage that carried us through life's trials. Gratitude becomes our foundation, and it turns ordinary days into meaningful experiences. Moreover, inner reflection connects us with our spiritual side. In silence and stillness, we begin to sense a deeper purpose in our existence. We start to see patterns and meaning in events that once seemed random. Reflection helps us understand that everything happens for a reason. Sometimes to teach, sometimes to transform, and sometimes simply to remind us of our resilience. This awareness brings a profound calmness to the heart. We no longer feel lost or uncertain. Instead, we feel guided and at peace with where we are. Through reflection, we become our own teachers, our own healers, and our own source of wisdom. It allows us to live each day with mindfulness, humility, and quiet strength, appreciating the life we've lived and the person we've become. Protecting your peace becomes one of the most sacred responsibilities as you reach the later chapters of life. After years of facing challenges, managing relationships, and enduring the noise of the world, peace is no longer just a desire. It becomes a necessity. Your peace is the foundation of your well-being, the quiet space that allows you to think clearly and live calmly. Protecting it means being selective about what you allow into your mind, your heart, and your surroundings. It's about realizing that not every situation deserves your attention, and not every person deserves access to your emotions. In this phase of life, peace is more valuable than approval, more powerful than control, and more healing than any victory in an argument. Guarding your peace begins with the people you allow around you. Not everyone who enters your life brings good energy. Some drain your spirit with negativity, complaints, or manipulation. Protecting your peace means creating boundaries, choosing to step back from toxic environments, gossip, or conflict. It's about surrounding yourself with calm and understanding rather than chaos and criticism. You no longer owe your presence to anyone who disrespects your tranquility. Walking away doesn't make you weak, it makes you wise. It shows that you've learned the difference between caring for others and sacrificing your inner calm for them. Your time and energy are precious, and they should only be shared with those who bring positivity and peace into your life. Protecting your peace also means mastering your reactions. You can't control how others behave, but you can always control how you respond. The older you get, the more you realize that peace is an inside job. It depends not on others' behavior, but on your ability to remain steady despite the storm. When you stop letting small things upset you, life becomes gentler. You start choosing silence over argument, calm over anger, and understanding over judgment. Protecting your peace means refusing to let external chaos disturb your inner harmony. It's the art of staying composed when everything around you tries to pull you into conflict. This self-control is not suppression, it's empowerment. It's the realization that your serenity is too valuable to waste on temporary emotions or meaningless battles. Moreover, protecting your peace means prioritizing yourself and your happiness. It involves daily choices, taking time to rest, engaging in what nourishes your soul, and detaching from unnecessary drama. Spend time in nature, meditate, listen to music, or simply sit in silence. Whatever helps you stay grounded and content. Peace is not something you find once and keep forever. It's something you nurture continuously. It requires mindfulness and consistent effort. When you protect your peace, you protect your health, your joy, and your spirit. It allows you to live life with clarity and grace, focusing on what truly matters rather than what merely distracts. And as you grow older, you understand that peace isn't the absence of problems. It's the ability to remain calm, centered, and grateful even in their presence. In the final stage of life, peace, silence, and self-focus are not luxuries. They are necessities for the soul. After years of noise, struggle, and sacrifice, it is your right to live with calmness and dignity. You have carried responsibilities, endured pain, and shared love. Now it is time to return that love to yourself. Focusing on your well-being, embracing silence, and protecting your peace are not signs of isolation, but symbols of wisdom. They show that you have learned what truly matters: inner balance, clarity, and emotional freedom. Life becomes softer, slower, and far more meaningful when you choose stillness over struggle. So in this chapter of your journey, let go of what no longer serves you, cherish the quiet moments, and walk forward with peace in your heart and gratitude in your soul.